So first order of business, turning everything on. Start with the firmament up top. This button might flash a little bit and crackle. It's kind of scary. It takes a second to turn on, but got to get that fixed. Once the firmament is on, you have to turn on the mic pre's. The light above the power button does not work, so you won't actually know that it's on until you engage phantom power and the mic can engage. But you want to turn on phantom power and engage the microphones before you turn up the level. You don't want to boost the level and then turn on the phantom power. It's just going to overload shit. So you want to engage phantom power and the microphone button on each of these preamp inputs. All of the microphones require phantom power. They're all condenser microphones. There's an ORTF pair hanging out there and an Omni pair. But yeah, they all require phantom power. After that, you are cool to reference the Recital level log sheet, which has a pretty good set of levels. It might need minor adjustment, but you can use this as a starting point for all of the recitals, and you can get very close to a good level. And I'll discuss what constitutes a good level in a second. But for the mic pre, we're just going to say that we are going to put the gain at 3 and level at 10. So on all of these, I'm just going to do gain of 3, level of 10, just as a placeholder. We're doing an imaginary recital right now. There's actually people in the recital right now I can see on the little baby monitor here. So you can actually see levels popping up on these meters here. Once these are all turned up, including the master outs, make sure the master outs are both at the same level. Those usually are at about 9 o'clock. They range on the recital level log sheet from 8 to 10, so really only an increment of 2 or 6 dB. Each one of these dots on the gain and level and master outs is 3 decibels. So if you ever need to adjust anything, just you know how much you're adjusting by. Anyway, once the mic pre is on, you need to turn on the converter, which converts the analog signal to digital, so the recorders can pick it up and record. On this converter, you want to make sure you won't have to change anything on here. The only thing you'll have to do is turn it on, but you want to make sure it is at 44.1 for the sample rate. Source is analog. And then source down here is analog, but you won't really need to change anything. I've never had to press these buttons ever. You just turn it on, make sure it's cool. The only reason you ever have to press anything is if someone else came in here and just randomly pressed stuff, which has never actually happened to me. So just make sure that's cool. And then after that, you can turn on the recorders down below. It is important to power it up in this order because if you power up the recorders before the mic pre and the converter, you will get a clock error on here, or an input error, and this button on here will remain red. You'll get an error message. You won't be able to actually record on it. These say reading media when you start it up. You have to give it a second. Now it's good to go. So as of right now, everything's powered up. You're ready to go. I'm going to zoom the camera in a second so we can get a closer look at labeling files. Now, and I've said this before, but this is the hardest part of the recital recording process. There were a lot of mistakes with this last semester, so I want to make sure that this is cool this time around. These are both the same company. They're both Tascam recorders, very similar layout, similar buttons, but the terminology is a little different for labeling stuff. Also, I apologize for the blood on my knuckle. Sorry if that grosses you out. I busted my knuckle about an hour ago. Anyway, on the top one, you're going to hit Menu. Here, I'll go back to home. You're going to hit Menu, and then Browse. This will bring you to your... Well, the first thing that shows up is the previous file that was created and recorded into. The last one was December 7th on here. To get back, there's actually no back button. You need to click on the... You'll see here is the name of the folder. These are all of the audio tracks that have been recorded into that folder. You need to select the name of that folder, and then hit select. And by hitting select, you'll actually go back, which is counterintuitive. It doesn't really make sense. And then you'll see here that you're now in the main root folder. And this is the main folder that contains all of the recitals. And each recital has its own folder. And I'm going to scroll through here. You'll see, I've got, going back to November 17th, I got November and December recitals in here. My preferred layout for this is the date. And for example, like this one, it's 11.17.22, and then you want to use the name of the performer or the ensemble. I don't want trombone. I don't want the date and then trumpet or trombone, because come March or April, there's going to be days where there's multiple recitals in one day, and you might have 3 trombone players performing in the same day. And when I go to edit them, I'll have no idea what's what unless I listen to the whole thing, which is very time consuming. But you want to name it the date, and then, the name of the performer or the ensemble. And it's okay to abbreviate stuff. Like this one right here says 11.17.22 GRQ, so graduate, well, I thought it was supposed to be graduate brass quintet, but there's an R instead of a B. But or University Wind Symphony, UWS. It's okay to abbreviate that, but I wouldn't get too loose with that. In order to create a new folder, you're going to select the root. You're going to click on it like you did before with that other folder, and then you're going to do create. This will bring you to a QWERTY keyboard where you can now create your new folder for the recital that you're currently recording. So today's date is, I forget, January something. Let me look at my phone. Oh, my phone is recording the video. I can't look at my phone. I think it's the 10th. I could be wrong. So I'm going to do 01.10. My insulin pump is beeping at me, reminding me I have diabetes. Let me turn this off. Okay, there we go. 01.10. And this is the most time-consuming part. It's really not that hard, but it just takes a little bit. And it can get frustrating if you're late or something and you're scrambling around trying to do this. So make sure you're early, please. January 10th, 2022. And I'm just going to do, we'll say it's Jazz Lab Band. So I'm going to do JL, wherever B is, JLB. Enter. Once you have named it, you click enter. It creates the folder. It says creating. Okay, now it's back in the main root folder. You want to, this is very important. Well, all this is important, but this may be a little bit more so. You want to make sure you select the folder that you just made as your recording folder. So locate it, and it'll appear at the bottom. It's in chronological order. It'll appear at the bottom. Select it. And on here, the terminology for this is different on both of these, but on here you're going to hit select. And you're not going back this time. You're actually selecting it. And you'll know that you're in that folder because once you hit select, it'll just have that folder highlighted right here. You can hit home display, and now the time code says 0. You are in that folder, ready to record, and nothing has been recorded yet. So that one's cool. This one down here is a little different. Instead of hitting menu, you're going to hit Finder. Finder brings you to that root folder like up above. And then, you can see all of the folders that have been made in the past. But you want to select that root folder and then do new folder. On here, there's not a QWERTY keyboard. You actually have to scroll through each character individually. This one takes a little longer, but really not that bad. To advance to the next character, click the track skip button, not this. This will if you click this in, this will create the folder however you've named it so far. So hit the track skip button. You'll go to the next character. I'm going to name it the same as I did before. And numbers are to the left, and then letters are to the right. So this takes a little bit. Please make sure you are early to the recital. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you have to be here an hour early, but it is very helpful if you're here an hour early, especially if you're not that comfortable with the recitals, because anything can happen. A microphone could blow up. Who knows? Catch on fire randomly. I don't know. It's never happened, but it could. But please make sure just at least a half an hour. There's no headache involved, but there are a few times past semester where recital engineers cut it very close, and it was frightening for both John and I. I put one too many dots there. I'm going to go back and actually delete this or change it to just a blank character if I can even find it. There it is. Okay. And then I forget what I named it. Jazz Lab Band, so I'm going to do JLB again. Thank you for bearing with me. This takes a little bit. Okay. Once you've named it, click in. That'll create the folder. You'll see here it's loading, creating the folder. Come on. Taking a little bit. Okay, it's done. Same as before, it'll be on the bottom of the list. On here, you'll see the previous recording was actually Jazz Lab Band, like I just labeled it. That was on the 11th of December. That one is the previous folder that was made is currently selected as the recording folder. You want to make sure you select the new folder as your new recording folder. So once that is highlighted down here, click in it, and then click the button that's current, and that'll make it the current recording folder. Once that is highlighted, you'll see the folder is highlighted in white next to it. I hope you can see that on the video. I don't actually know. Oh, yeah, you can. Cool. So, yeah, that's highlighted white. Now you're cool. You can hit the home display button, like up above, and that brings you to the recording screen. On here, the timestamp will show, I believe this is the total amount of time remaining or recorded on the SD card. Up here, it'll start off new. So I always reference this one if I'm ever having to label the time code on the program, if I'm making any adjustments for anything. Anyway, you're now ready to record. You'll want to hit the record enable button on both of these, and that'll highlight red. Now, there's actually people performing in the recital hall. I can hear them coming in. You see the level showing up here. Please make sure you get here early to do a sound check before the recital. You want this level coming in to be about negative 18 decibels. That'll be a good recording level. It'll be good for editing for me. And it also leaves headroom just in case the band gets a little louder or the performer gets a little louder. But you want the average level to be about negative 18. There are a lot of recitals that were recorded last semester that were super, super quiet. And then when I went to go edit them in Pro Tools, I had to do a lot of gain adjustment. And then the noise of the hall, the noise floor is just super high. So it just doesn't sound pleasant if I have to crank the gain on everything. So please make sure you get it at negative 18. Actually, this level that I set, I mean, when they start playing, it's actually hovering at about negative 18. So the gain levels that I set up here, if everything fails, if you forgot everything you've ever learned, a gain of 3 and a level of 9 or 10 on these pre's on each channel will get you a pretty good level. You might have to adjust it later on if things get out of hand, but this is a good starting point. So you need to hit the record enable in order to hear the input monitoring through the headphones. You won't hear anything until you select those. You'll do this before the recital starts. And then to actually start recording, you hit the play button. Now you'll see here, this time is increasing. Now you're recording into both of these, and it actually shows the same on both of them. During the recital, after you've hit play to begin recording, you will be hitting the record button before every piece, within like 5 seconds before each piece starts, and after the last applause. By doing so, you will create a space in between each piece that I can later delete when I drag all of the audio into Pro Tools. By hitting this recording button, you're never starting or stopping the recording. You are only putting a track break in. So it'll just basically put a line on the audio file in Pro Tools, and I'll know when the song starts and ends. I can usually eyeball it and see by the way the waveform looks where the applause is and everything. But by doing this, it just makes my job really easy, really efficient. I can just click through and delete what I don't need and do fade in and fade outs really fast, gain adjustment, and send it out. Yeah. So like I said, during the recital, you're only really hitting this record button. When it's finally done, you will hit the stop button. And you're hitting this when you are 100% sure that the recital is done. There's been about 2 encores the whole time I have been a recital engineer or have been overseeing recital engineers. So you want to make sure that they're not coming out for a recital. You don't want to stop everything and turn everything off and then realize that the band's coming back out to play another piece. That'd be a nightmare. So once you're 100% sure it's done, the lights come on, people are standing up and leaving, you can hit the stop button. It says writing file on here. Once that is done, once that's done writing the file, you can then power everything down. And you can power everything down by going backwards to where we started. So you turn the recorders off, hit that converter up top, turn that off, and then please, please, please make sure that you turn down the gain and the level on each of the mic pre channels before you disengage phantom power. Also, please remember to turn off the phantom power. There's a lot of times I came in here and everything was off, but the phantom power is still on. When you disengage the phantom power to a microphone, it causes damage. So you want to make sure that the gain is down, and then you can turn off each phantom power and mic engage button. One thing I didn't say before is that it's a very good practice to check to see if microphones are actually working. I've had microphones go bad overnight. I never even knew. So before the recital starts, it's good to once you have levels set, you have the folders made in here, and you've started recording, or you're not necessarily started recording, but you've record enabled so you can hear. You can then turn on and turn off. I don't know if you can see on the video. Oh yeah, you can't. I'm going to tilt this back a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. It's cool that you can turn on and turn off each of these mic engage buttons. You leave the phantom power as is, but you can turn each one of these on and off, and it obviously puts the signal into the headphones. So if you want to just check each individual microphone, you can do that. And you want to make sure that the omnis, I didn't say this either earlier, make sure the omnis are panned far left and right, and the ORTF is panned at about 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock, respectively. You won't have to adjust that, but the only reason you'll have to adjust that is if someone else adjusts it when they're not supposed to. These should remain the same. I also have the microphones labeled up top here with a piece of tape, so you know it's Omni and then ORTF. Yeah, those microphones out there are plugged in directly with an XLR right into this mic pre. So yeah, make sure that's all working. Make sure that the left Omni is in the left headphone, the right Omni is in the right headphone, and same thing for ORTF. But if that's cool, everything's good. But yeah, I've had a microphone go bad, and I was recording a recital, it was like 4 years ago, and I didn't check this, and I just recorded the whole recital, and the microphone was just distorted the whole time, and that ended up on the recording, and it could have been an easy fix if I had just disengaged maybe the ORTF pair that was bad and just left the omnis. That way it would have sounded a little different, but it would not have had the distorted audio from the bad microphone. So just make sure that's cool. That's pretty much it. You want to make sure that you grab programs before the recital starts. You can head down, no matter where you are. If you're in the lecture hall, you're in the recital hall, you're in Miller Auditorium, you can just head down a few minutes before the recital starts, or 10 minutes before. You can grab a recital, get swiped for Convo credit, and then on that program, please, next to each piece, write which track. And you can I'd reference this DA recorder up top here. This will have it starts off on 0 for your tracks recorded, and then just label on the program next to each piece which track you're on here. It's not the end of the world. It's not very, very, very important, but it just helps me later on when I'm editing. Also, I forgot what I was going to say. It seemed very important, but I might remember it and just shoot it off in an email later. But yeah, thank you for watching this and Recital Engineering, and I hope you have a great day.